Spain, a land where every stone whispers a story, where centuries of culture, tradition, and nature blend into a mosaic of colors, flavors, and sounds. But beyond the iconic cities and world-famous landmarks lies another Spain, quieter, wilder, untouched by crowds. A Spain where time moves slowly and authenticity thrives. In this journey, we will explore the soul of the country, far from the tourist trails. From the rugged cliffs of forgotten coastlines to sleepy mountain villages lost in the folds of history. From hidden valleys and medieval towns to ancient forests, salt plains and caves carved by nature over thousands of years. This is not the Spain of postcards. This is the Spain whispered about by locals, guarded by time and waiting to be discovered. We will travel through hidden paths where Roman stones still echo with footsteps, where Moorish towers rise silently over olive groves, and where fishermen still sing to the sea under skies painted in gold. Each place we visit tells a story of resilience, mystery, and timeless beauty. Tucked away in the mountains of the Teruel province, Albarracín rises like a dream from another time. Perched on a sandstone ridge and wrapped by the Guadalquivir River, this medieval town feels untouched by the modern world. Its narrow, winding streets climb through pink-hued stone houses and ancient walls. Every turn reveals a texture of history, wooden balconies leaning over cobbled paths, iron lanterns casting soft shadows, and staircases worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. The town's origins stretch back more than 1,000 years, once a Muslim stronghold, then a Christian frontier. Albarracín carries the layers of both cultures in its architecture, its towers, and its silence. The defensive wall still clings to the rocky hills, and the ruins of the old Alcázar fortress watch over the valley like a guardian of stories long past. Time moves slowly here. The air is filled with the scent of pine and stone. There are no flashing signs, no rushing traffic, just the quiet hum of daily life, shaped by tradition and the rhythm of the land. The Church of Santa Maria and the cathedral stand as symbols of faith carved in stone. In the heart of Andalusia, where the land folds into white cliffs and olive groves, lies a village unlike any other, Setenil de las Bodegas. Here, nature and architecture are not separate, they are one. Setenil is carved into the rock, literally. Its homes are built beneath massive stone overhangs, wedged into cliffs, and sheltered by natural caves. The streets follow the curves of the gorge, where the Trejo River has shaped the land for thousands of years. Some roofs are not made of tiles, but of solid stone, the raw mountain itself. People have lived here since prehistoric times. What began as a cave settlement grew into a village that never let go of its roots. Its name, Setenil, comes from the Latin phrase meaning 7 times nothing, a nod to the town's resistance during the Christian Reconquest, when it withstood 7 failed sieges before finally falling. But despite its long and dramatic history, life here is peaceful. The scent of baked bread drifts from cave cafes. Whitewashed facades contrast against the heavy grey of rock above. Swallows nest in crevices, where sunlight filters through in narrow shafts. On the southeastern edge of Spain, where the mountains meet the sea in quiet defiance of development, lies a sanctuary untouched by time, Calblanque Natural Park. This is a place where the wild still speaks. No high-rise hotels, no paved roads slicing through the silence. Just raw nature, stretched between golden dunes, salt lagoons, fossil cliffs, and empty beaches brushed by the warm waters of the Mediterranean. The land here is sun-baked and rugged. Hills roll in shades of ochre and rust, shaped by wind and the long memory of the earth. Coastal cliffs fall into deep blue, while soft sands curve along the shoreline like ancient signatures. Some of these beaches remain completely unmarked. No footprints, no umbrellas, just the rhythmic breath of waves and wind. Calblanque is home to life that hides in plain sight. Tortoises move slowly through thyme and rosemary shrubs. Eagles circle high above limestone peaks. Flamingos step through shallow pools that mirror the sky. But it is the silence that defines this place, a silence not of absence. High in the mountains of the Madrid region, hidden behind folds of stone and forest, lies a village lost in time, Patones de Arriba. Built entirely of slate, the village rises in soft black and grey, blending almost invisibly into the hillside. Its houses are narrow and low, their walls stacked by hand, their roofs weathered by wind and seasons. Here the streets are not paved with concrete, but with uneven stone, worn smooth by generations of footsteps. Patones de Arriba was once so remote that it governed itself for centuries. Locals speak of the legend of the King of Patones, a title passed down through families who led the village when the outside world barely knew it existed. There are no straight roads here. The village climbs upward in a quiet spiral of passageways, stairways, and small courtyards tucked between shadows and light. Flower pots burst with color against the dark stone. Wooden doors creak gently in the breeze. The silence here is not empty. It is full of the echo of old voices, of the clink of iron tools, of the soft rhythm of lives lived slowly. In the green heart of Galicia, where mist clings to the treetops and rivers carve deep through ancient hills, lies a forest untouched by time, Fragas do Eume. This is one of the last remaining Atlantic rainforests in all of Europe. A sanctuary of moss, stone, and water, where silence is broken only by birdsong and the slow rush of the Eume River. It is not a forest you simply visit, it is a forest you feel. Stepping into Fragas do Eume is like walking into a living memory. Oaks twist and bend like old souls. Ferns unfurl across the forest floor in layers of green. Shafts of sunlight break through the canopy, illuminating pathways that seem drawn from a dream. The air is cool and damp, heavy with the scent of earth and leaves. Lichens and moss cover everything, trees, stones, the walls of ruins lost to the forest long ago. Hidden deep within the woods, the monastery of Carvero rises from a ridge of rock. Over 1,000 years old, it once housed hermit monks who lived in silence, surrounded by nothing but nature and prayer. On the rugged northern coast of Asturias, where the land falls sharply into the Cantabrian Sea, a small village clings to the cliffs like a secret. This is Cudillero. Seen from above, it appears as a burst of color spilled across a green hillside. Houses in shades of red, blue, yellow, and white cascade down narrow lanes, leaning toward the tiny harbor below. Each one is built to face the water, as if still waiting for the fishermen to return home. Life in Cudillero has always followed the sea. For centuries, it was a village of sailors and deep-sea fishermen, shaped by salt and storms. Even today, the scent of the ocean drifts through its streets, carried by the cries of gulls and the hum of boats pulling into the port. The village is hidden from the road, tucked into a natural amphitheater of rock. There are no grand monuments, no towering cathedrals. Its beauty lies in its shape, its rhythm, and its quiet defiance of time. Stone stairways wind between houses, balconies overflow with flowers. Small plazas open suddenly, offering glimpses of the ocean sparkling just beyond the rooftops. In the hills of León, far from the noise of cities and the rush of roads, the earth glows red beneath a crown of green chestnut trees. This is Las Médulas, a place where nature and history collided to shape a landscape like no other. At first glance, it seems otherworldly. Jagged peaks of crimson earth rise like silent flames. Caves and ridges twist through the hills, their edges softened by centuries of wind and rain. But this beauty was born from violence 2,000 years ago when the Romans came here in search of gold. They carved through mountains, diverting rivers and collapsing hillsides using a technique known as runa montium, the wrecking of mountains. It was one of the largest mining operations of the ancient world. What remains is not just a ruin, but a monument to human ambition and the silent endurance of the land. Today, the forest has returned. Trees grow where gold once flowed. Birds nest in the same cliffs that echoed with the cries of workers. The silence is thick, interrupted only by the wind that slips through narrow gorges and the rustle of leaves. In the mountains of Salamanca, tucked between forests and peaks, lies a village where the past has never left, La Alberca. Its streets are narrow and winding, paved in stone, and framed by half-timbered houses with wooden balconies and hand-carved details. Each building leans gently into the next, like neighbors in quiet conversation. The walls are marked with symbols of protection, etched generations ago, and still honored today. La Alberca feels suspended in time. It was the first village in Spain to be declared a National Historic Site, but its charm goes far beyond its title. Here, tradition is not a performance, it is a way of life. Women in embroidered shawls still draw water from stone fountains. Bread is baked in ancient ovens. Pigs, marked as sacred, once roamed the main square, a symbol of the village's deep cultural and religious rituals. Even the language carries echoes of the old world, filled with words you will hear nowhere else. Surrounded by the Sierra de Francia, La Alberca rests in a landscape of chestnut trees, granite paths, and deep valleys. Deep in the heart of the Pyrenees, where cliffs rise like cathedrals and waterfalls sing across stone, lies the Ordesa Valley, a place where nature reveals its grandest scale in quiet majesty. This is not just a valley, it is a vast, natural amphitheater, carved by glaciers and time, wrapped in forests of beech and fir, and guarded by peaks that stretch toward the sky. Here, every step feels sacred, every sound echoes with age. The Ordesa Valley is part of Spain's oldest national park. Yet despite its protected status, it remains a secret to many, a hidden kingdom of rock, light, and air. Along its trails, the ground shifts from soft moss to cold stone, and the scent of pine mixes with the cool breath of snowmelt cascading down ancient cliffs. High above, vultures circle, marmots whistle from shadowed crevices. And in spring, wildflowers bloom in carpets of color, bringing life to the valley floor as snow still clings to the peaks. The great Monte Perdido, or Lost Mountain, towers over it all, its pale summit watching in stillness. At its feet, waterfalls like Cola de Caballo pour down rock faces that seem too tall to be real. Perched on a limestone ridge above the Vero River Canyon, in the province of Júzcar, lies the village of Alquézar, a place where stone, silence, and centuries live in harmony. From a distance, Alquézar looks as if it has grown out of the very rock beneath it. Soft terracotta roofs and medieval walls blend into the pale cliffs of the Sierra de Guara. The village rests beneath the quiet shadow of its ancient collegiate church, like a story told in stone. Alquézar began as a Moorish fortress. Its name comes from the Arabic word for fortress, Alquézar. Over time it became a Christian stronghold, then a village wrapped in faith, tradition, and deep connection to the land. The streets are narrow and steep, made for walking slowly. Stone archways open into hidden courtyards. Balconies lean out above alleyways, filled with plants and quiet life. There is no rush here, only the rhythm of old footsteps and the soft ringing of bells. The collegiate church of Santa Maria la Maya rises at the village's edge, its walls watching over the canyons below. High above the plains of Navarra, rising from the mist like a vision, stands Ujué, a village of stone and silence, built where faith and legend meet the sky. Perched on a lone hilltop, Ujué is a place that watches the land in every direction. Its houses huddle close together, wrapped in winding alleys and pale sandstone walls. Above them all stands the sanctuary fortress of Santa Maria, a church that is part castle, part pilgrimage, and all devotion. The origins of Ujué stretch into myth. It is said a shepherd once followed a dove into a cave and found a statue of the Virgin Mary. From that moment, a village grew around a miracle. And to this day, the dove remains the symbol of Ujué, its name drawn from the word for dove in the old language of this land. The climb to the top is steep, but the silence grows with every step. Along the way, stone doorways and flowered balconies speak of centuries past. And when you reach the summit, the view opens wide, to distant mountains, to golden fields, to the path behind and the one ahead. In the deep heart of Andalusia, where rivers have carved through stone for millions of years, a narrow path clings to the face of a cliff, bold, silent and suspended in air. This is El Caminito del Rey, the little pathway of the king. Once known as the most dangerous walkway in Spain, it now stands as one of the most thrilling and awe-inspiring journeys through nature and time. It is not the length of the trail that humbles you, it is the height, the exposure. The silence of the gorge that stretches hundreds of feet below your footsteps. The path winds through the Desfiladero de las Gaitanes, a deep and narrow canyon carved by the Guadalhorce River. Sheer limestone walls rise like stone cathedrals, eagles soar overhead, and water rushes far beneath, out of sight, but never out of sound. Originally built over a century ago to serve a hydroelectric project, the walkway earned its royal name when King Alfonso XIII crossed it in the early 1900s. But time wore it down. Decades of neglect left it broken and crumbling until it was carefully rebuilt, plank by plank, to preserve both its daring spirit and its natural wonder. In the highlands of Andalusia, balanced on a plateau of stone and sky, sits the town of Ronda. It is one of Spain's oldest cities, but its most breathtaking secret lies in the wound that divides it. A deep, narrow chasm carved by the Guadalhorce River over thousands of years. El Tajo is not just a geological marvel. It is the heart of Ronda, hidden in plain sight. From above, the town appears whole. Cobbled streets, Moorish walls, whitewashed houses glowing in the sun. But then, suddenly, the earth falls away. A gorge over 300 feet deep splits the city in two, its cliffs sheer and solemn. And at its center stands the Puente Nuevo, the new bridge spanning the chasm like a thread of stone. Built in the 18th century, the bridge rises from the canyon floor with impossible grace. It is not just an engineering feat, it is a monument to endurance. Below it, the river continues its ancient journey, cutting through layers of limestone, shaded by wild fig trees and watched by nesting falcons. Few travelers explore the gorge from within. In the gentle heart of Catalonia, where vineyards roll across the land and the light turns golden at dusk, there stands a village untouched by the noise of the world, Peratallada. Its name means carved stone, and nothing could describe it more perfectly. The village seems to rise from the earth itself, walls, houses, and streets hewn from the same ancient rock. Every path is narrow, every turn a step deeper into the Middle Ages. Peratallada has no grand entrances. You arrive quietly, as travelers did centuries ago, on foot, through archways worn smooth by time. Ivy climbs the sandstone walls. Wooden shutters creak in the wind. And all around is silence, broken only by the soft rhythm of footsteps on cobblestone. This village was once a fortress, guarded by towers, moats, and high stone ramparts. Many still remain, not as relics, but as part of everyday life, integrated into homes, courtyards, and quiet corners, where history lingers like perfume in the air. Time slows here. You feel it in the curve of an old doorway, in the cool shade of a vaulted passage, in the stillness of a square where nothing has changed for generations. In the southeast of Navarra, far from the green hills and medieval villages, the land changes suddenly. Trees vanish, grass disappears, and in its place, a vast silence stretches to the horizon. This is Bardenas Reales. A desert, but not in the way we expect. No endless dunes, no blistering heat. Instead, a sculpted emptiness, clay, chalk, and sandstone molded by wind and rain into shapes that feel like a forgotten dream. Sharp ridges rise like the backs of ancient beasts, flat plateaus cut clean against the sky, and solitary peaks stand watch over the silence. There are no cities here, no crowds, just a sense of space so wide it becomes its own kind of music. This semi-desert, covering more than 100,000 acres, is a paradox, harsh yet delicate. Dry, yet teeming with life. Eagles soar overhead, wild rabbits dart between thorns. And in spring, the cracked earth blooms briefly, almost shyly, before retreating once again into stillness. The land is divided into shapes, the white Bardenas, the black Bardenas. Tucked away in the forested folds of Catalonia, hidden among cliffs and winding roads, lies a village where time is held gently in stone, Rupit I Pruit. It is not one place, but two twin souls joined into a single quiet life. One born of medieval stone, the other of rural solitude. Together they form a village that feels untouched by the centuries. The streets of Rupit are made of uneven rock, worn smooth by rain and footsteps. Houses lean inward across narrow lanes, built of ash-grey stone and thick wooden beams, their windows glowing softly with the light of home. Ivy creeps along the walls, church bells echo through the trees. This is a place meant for walking slowly. A wooden hanging bridge sways gently above the river. Below, clear water flows past mossy banks and hidden waterfalls, carving a path through the deep green landscape. It feels as if the village was placed here, not by hands, but by the land itself. Built in the Middle Ages, Rupit was once a fortress. Its cliffs offered shelter. High in the hills of Andalusia, where the earth once lay beneath a forgotten sea, the time has shaped the land into something almost otherworldly. This is El Torcal de Antequera. A place where limestone rises in impossible forms, stacked, twisted, balanced, as if carved not by erosion, but by imagination. For millions of years, wind, water, and ice have worked in silence to create a landscape unlike any other in Spain. Here the ground shifts from soft grass to cracked stone, and the horizon becomes a sculpture garden of giants. Towers of rock lean at delicate angles. Narrow crevices open to hidden paths. The silence is deep, yet never empty. You are walking through ancient geology, once submerged beneath an ocean, now lifted skyward by tectonic force and shaped by patience. Fossils still lie trapped in the stone, shells and coral, far from any shore. El Torcal is alive with quiet movement. In the early morning, mists drift between the rock columns like breath. Griffon vultures ride the thermals overhead. Wild goats move along ledges with ease, their hooves finding balance where ours hesitate. At the southeastern tip of Spain, where the land narrows to a jagged finger reaching into the Mediterranean, the world feels vast and untouched. This is Cabo de Gata. A landscape of extremes, a coastline born of ancient volcanoes shaped by salt, sun, and wind. This is not the Spain of postcard beaches. It is wilder, older. A place where silence stretches across plains of stone and cactus, and where the sea crashes into black cliffs with unfiltered strength. Cabo de Gata is Spain's only true desert by the sea. Rain falls rarely. The air is dry, and the colors are muted. Bucres, grays, soft blues. But in this simplicity, a rare beauty emerges, untouched coves. Empty trails, and long winding roads that seem to lead to the edge of the earth. The land is protected, a natural park, home to rare birds, ancient coral reefs, and isolated fishing villages, where time still moves with the tides. Agave plants rise like green sculptures from the dust. Far out in the Atlantic, on the island of La Gomera, there is a forest unlike any other in Europe, a forest that remembers a world before ours. This is Garajonay. A primeval laurel forest, shrouded in mist, draped in moss, and soaked in time. It is one of the oldest ecosystems on Earth, a living relic from the Tertiary period, when forests like this once covered much of the continent. Here, the trees do not rise in straight lines. They twist, they reach, they seem to listen. The air is heavy with moisture. Ferns blanket the ground. Lichens cling to branches like silent whispers of age. Walking through Garajonay is like stepping into a dream that does not belong to this century or even this age. Light filters softly through the canopy. Clouds drift between the trees, brushing your skin as they pass. Birds call in short, quiet bursts, and then the forest falls back into silence. The land is sacred to the Gomorans. Its name comes from the legend of Gara and Jonay, two lovers doomed and eternal, whose story is woven into the hills and shadows. Their memory lingers here, in the stillness, in the damp air, in the pulse of the trees. In the foothills of the Spanish Pyrenees, where rivers meet and mountains begin to rise, a medieval village rests quietly above the land, watched over by time and carved from the earth itself. This is Aínsa. Stone streets wind through the heart of the old town, untouched by hurry. Thick walls and rounded towers still stand where they once defended against enemies long forgotten. And at the center, the great square of Aínsa spreads wide, open to sky and silence, surrounded by arched porticos and weathered buildings that have seen the centuries pass without rush. Aínsa is not a reconstruction. It is not a memory rebuilt. It is real. It has endured. And you feel it underfoot, in the uneven cobblestones, in the cold touch of the fortress walls, and in the quiet dignity of the Romanesque church that has stood watch for nearly 1,000 years. Legends live here, stories passed down from one generation to the next. Tales of battles and miracles, of a cross of fire that appeared in the sky, uniting people to reclaim their land. Whether myth or memory, it still burns in the heart of the village's identity. In the far northwest corner of Spain, where Asturias brushes against Galicia, the hills soften into folds of deep green. Mist settles gently on the rooftops, and the sound of rushing water is never far away. This is Taramundi. A village where the past is not forgotten. It is alive. Alive in the sound of the blacksmith's hammer, the spinning of wooden wheels, the turning of stone millstones powered by mountain streams. Taramundi is not a museum, it is a way of life, still breathing. Here, water is more than landscape. it is tradition. Dozens of tiny rivers and channels crisscross the land, powering ancient tools and filling the air with movement. Small bridges stretch over creeks. Wooden flumes guide streams through quiet gardens. It feels like time flows here, not forward, but outward. The village itself is simple, slate-roofed houses nestled into the hillside. Stone paths that curve with the land, balconies overflowing with flowers. Tucked into the rugged mountains of Malaga, surrounded by chestnut trees and winding roads, lies a village that looks nothing like the rest of Spain. This is Júzcar. A village painted entirely in blue. Not the pale blue of the sky, not the deep blue of the sea. But a bright, bold blue that wraps every house, every wall, every rooftop. It is as if the sky itself descended and took the shape of a village. This transformation began with a story, one that started as a film promotion but became something more. In the year 2011, Júzcar was chosen as the setting for the premiere of an animated film. The entire town was painted blue to celebrate, but when the promotion ended, the villagers decided to keep it that way. And so, Júzcar became something rare, a village both traditional and imaginative. Rooted in history, yet open to reinvention. The streets still follow their ancient paths. The buildings still wear their original forms, but now the color gives everything a surreal glow. Off the northern coast of Spain, where the Bay of Biscay crashes against stone and salt fills the air, a narrow path rises from the sea, winding, steep, ancient. At the end of that path stands San Juan de Gaztelugatxe. A small hermitage perched atop a rocky islet, bound to the mainland by a man-made bridge and over 200 winding stone steps. From afar, it looks like something out of legend, and in many ways, it is. The name means Castle Rock of St. John. But before religion, before the church, this place belonged to the sea and to the stories. Sailors once prayed here for calm waters. Locals whispered of miracles and storms. And long before footsteps carved the path, the waves told their own tales. The climb to the top is not easy. The staircase clings to the ridge, twisting along the edge of the world. With each step, the wind grows stronger, the sea below, louder, and above, the hermitage waits, small, simple, sacred. At the summit, the reward is silence, a silence filled with meaning. You ring the ancient bell 3 times, for luck, for remembrance. In the deep folds of the Catalan Pyrenees, hidden among forests and silent hills, there is a village that feels untouched by the passing centuries. This is Beget. Built entirely of stone and cradled by a narrow mountain valley, Beget is a place where the line between history and present disappears. Small stone houses lean gently against one another. Narrow alleys cross streams by way of graceful arched bridges. And everywhere the sound of water, a constant hush as the river moves beneath the village like a quiet heartbeat. There are no grand avenues here, no modern noise. Only the rhythm of old wooden shutters, cobbled paths, and the echo of footsteps that seem to belong to another age. At the center stands the Church of Saint Cristoforo, a Romanesque jewel from the 12th century. Its bell tower rises modestly above the rooftops, watching over the village as it has for generations. Inside, a rare wooden carving of Christ looks out with calm serenity, a reminder of the faith and craft that shaped this land. Beget is a place of deep quiet. Not silence, but stillness, the kind that fills the air with meaning. In the northwest of Spain, where Castile meets Galicia, a medieval village rises from the hills like a fortress above the clouds. This is Puebla de Sanabria. Perched on a rocky hilltop between rivers and forests, this village is one of the oldest in the region, shaped by time, by stone, and by the watchful stillness of its castle. Every building, every wall, every street feels anchored to the land, as if carved from the mountain itself. The heart of the village is its castle, built in the 15th century. Its towers rise over the rooftops, still standing proud, still guarding the stone houses that spread out below it. From the ramparts, the view stretches across rivers, valleys, and deep green hills, vast, quiet, and endless. The streets of Puebla de Sanabria are narrow, winding, and lined with balconies made of dark wood and iron. Flowers spill over the edges, slate roofs glint under soft rain. The sound of footsteps on cobblestone echoes gently through the air. But this is not a village frozen in the past. It breathes with life. Small shops, slow cafes, the smell of traditional food carried on mountain air. High in the Tramontana mountains of Mallorca, hidden between terraced slopes and olive trees, lies a village that seems painted by hand and warmed by memory. This is Valdemossa. A village of stone and light, where time moves with the breeze and the scent of wild herbs drifts through narrow streets. The houses here wear soft, sun-kissed colors, earthy tones. Wooden shutters, flower pots resting on ancient windowsills. Every corner feels like a quiet thought, carefully placed, gently held. The village winds upward toward the Royal Charterhouse, a former monastery. A place of silence and reflection. Here, in the winter of the year 1838, two artists sought refuge, Frédéric Charbin and George Sand. The rain fell, the wind howled through the hills, and in that solitude, music was written. Words were formed, a chapter of history left its trace. But Valdemossa is not shaped only by fame, it is shaped by the mountain, by the stone, by the resilience of those who built terraces into the hills, who carved a life from the soil, and who held close the beauty of simplicity. In the wide open lands of Castilla y León, where the sky feels endless and the wind carries echoes of the past, a stone village stands, still and self-contained. This is Pedraza. A walled village, perfectly preserved, entered through a single ancient gate, as if stepping not just into a place, but into another century. Within the walls, time seems to pause. The streets are paved with cobblestones, worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. The buildings rise in golden tones, their facades touched by the sun and by age. Silence moves through Pedraza like a shadow. Not empty but full, with the sound of your own breath, the quiet creak of old wood, the soft call of a bird over the rooftops. At the heart of the village lies the Plaza Mayor, wide, solemn and powerful in its simplicity. It is one of the most beautiful squares in Spain, not because of its size or decoration, but because of its perfect proportions, its restraint, its silence. It is a square that speaks in whispers. Near the edge of the village, the castle stands guard, weathered by wind and war. Beneath the shadow of the Sierra de Guadarrama, where pine forests whisper in the wind and the sky stretches crisp and clear, lies a royal retreat shaped by dreams of Versailles. This is La Granja de San Ildefonso. Built in the early 18th century by King Philip V, it was never meant to rule, only to reflect. A palace of rest, a space of beauty, a garden of light and water. At its heart stands the royal palace, graceful and golden, with facades that glow under the mountain sun. Inside, tapestries, chandeliers and gilded halls speak softly of power, taste and solitude. Yet, despite its opulence, there is peace here, a stillness, as though the walls remember not just royalty, but retreat. but it is the gardens that truly give La Granja its voice. Vast, geometric, and alive with movement, fountains rise from pools shaped by myth and marble. Sculptures of gods, nymphs, and heroes peer through sprays of water. When they are in motion once or twice each year, they become rivers of sound and spectacle, echoing the Baroque past with living breath. Built into the side of a canyon carved by the Júzcar River, the village seems to grow from the stone itself. Its houses spiral upward, climbing the cliffs in a cascade of white, each one angled toward the light. Narrow streets curve along the slope like ribbons of history, sheltered, shaded, and alive with the rhythm of the past. Above it all stands the castle, a silent watchtower from the 12th century. Its silhouette still holds the memory of distant wars, long sieges, and quiet nights overlooking the river below. But it is the caves that give Alcalá its soul. Dozens of homes, bars, and rooms carved deep into the rock, cool in summer, warm in winter, and filled with echoes. Some are still lived in, others welcome travelers into a world beneath the surface. The stone walls breathe with time, the silence is deep and steady. Below, the Júzcar River wends gently through the valley. A graceful bridge, centuries old, crosses its calm waters. Trees line the banks, light dances on the surface, and the sound of the river becomes a song that never ends. In the gentle lands of Navarra, where vineyards roll across the hills and the air is rich with the scent of earth and time, there stands a castle that seems not built, but imagined. This is Olite. And at its heart, a palace, rising like a dream of towers and terraces, gardens and galleries, Olite Castle. A vision of medieval wonder, shaped not by war, but by beauty. It was in the 14th century that King Charles III, known as the Noble, transformed Olite into the royal seat of the Kingdom of Navarra. But what he created was more than a fortress. It was a sanctuary of splendor. A palace of light and air, vines and stone, where the imagination of a monarch met the skill of master builders. Every tower is different. Every courtyard has its own mood. Balconies overlook quiet gardens. Stained glass glows softly in the afternoon sun, and throughout it all, there is a sense of joy. Not power, not conquest, but joy. Peacocks once wandered these halls. Exotic plants grew in rooftop greenhouses. Winter snow was stored in underground chambers, so chilled drinks could be served in summer. This was a place not of war, but of celebration.